What's up YouTube, Cardi from Man221 here, and I thought I would do a basic overview of how to run a campaign on Medieval 2. I want to do these for every total war I have, going back to Rome, all the way to Shogun 2, because you guys watch my campaigns, you see me conquer a lot, but I don't exactly explain how I do this in my strategies. So, I thought I would start out with my Home Empire campaign. This has been a very successful campaign. So where should we start? I think we should start between the two different types of settlements you can have. As we see, we have Frankfurt, which is a city, right? And then, or it's my capital, and then we have a castle. So the castles are great because they can produce the best troops you can have. Like, for instance, let's go down to Staufen, right? I can make some of the best units I can make right now, which are armored sergeants and spearmen. Now, per castle, there's a level to the castle. So if you look here, there's castle. First it starts out with a wooden castle, then it goes to the castle, then it goes to fortress and citadel. Citadel lets you train the best troops possible. And if you're ever lost with what kind of buildings to create, you can always ask your advisor.
Constructing this building will greatly enhance your attack,
which will give you some advice. I don't always follow her, but it's always good to look at the building browser so you can actually build. So if you go to the barracks, you can see what kind of guides you can get per level of the fortress here, right? So it's a mountain bailey, then one castle, fortress, and then citadel. So if we go to barracks, right, I can make armored sergeants, peasants, whatever, right? And then I can get Swihanders, so I have an armory which costs $9,000, and that's if I have the top upgrade, which is the citadel. But I got other troops here. So look at some of the other buildings I have. I have a stable for my cavalry. If we look on the building browser, you can do stable, right? And that tells you what kind of cavalry you can get. Imperial Knights, like, so basically you want to get your castles upgrade, but they basically you also want a blacksmith in your castle to upgrade the armor. Churches are not so required, pretty much, but you don't really need to worry about crowd rotation and other stuff. Your castle is primarily used for recruiting the best troops you can at a time. So the castles have different levels. The benefit to a castle versus the benefit to the castle is that it trains your best units. The bad thing is they have a small population growth because it's not a city, and you can't tax it. It's at normal tax rate, permanent set. So these are where you make your best troops. It's good to have a mix of castles,
names a target.
Castles and settlements. So for instance, if we go up to Venice, he's not very happy right now because I conquered them. You can see these units that are in blue here. These are free upkeep units. So what I suggest, just for campaigns period, is to have your borders have some sort of troops on them. Like, if you look, my border is Vienna, right? Or Vine. Vienna has a ton of troops in it. Like, we got a decent number of troops here to defend. Like, if Hungary decided to attack me, I'd have a decent number of troops here. Prague, I have a decent number of troops here. They are low upkeep troops, right? But you want to have some troops in your strong thing. Hamburg, I'm just having this up here to assist against the Poles if they try to attack Magdeburg. But on your borders, you definitely want high garrisons. So if we look here, Marseille, high garrison, right? We look down here, high garrison because it's vulnerable. We look here, I'm about to take that, high garrison. So on your borders, you want high garrisons. In the center of your empire, for instance, like Nuremberg, I have free upkeep units here, right? These units are free, so they maintain public order. These town militia are dog. I mean, they're really bad troops, but they're free for the upkeep. They take nothing away from the income, right? So with your towns, they're money-making machines pretty much, right? So your towns, they'll get you the money, and you want to keep free upkeep militia in the towns to cut down on military costs, because your main military costs are from your heavy troops you're training up in your castles. So let's talk a little bit about some of the agents. By the way, if your city gets offered generally like Teutonic Knights or something, always take that. That's completely worth the money. Let's talk about some of the basic buildings you can build in a town. Of course, just like Rome, you have stone walls, you have like the basic things to upgrade your city. So, for instance, if you have the stone walls or something, that's the upgrade of the city. So now it's a large stone wall. So that's a large city. So if I were to switch my capital here, here's how you do this, by the way. Set to faction capital, right? Let's go look what the city actually is. This city is actually a large city because of the large stone walls. So that's how you upgrade your city. They'll always pop a message here that says your city is ready to be upgraded. Let's look at the basic buildings. Your basic barracks, right, which recruits your basic units. So the cities aren't completely worthless for making some units, but they are all militia units. So we go to the barracks, we can see the comparison between a castle and the city's barracks. So you know, some basic militia, right? sergeant spearmen, armored sergeants, armored swordsmen, right? So these are like all militia. So you basically get spear militia and crossbow militia out of all your towns, and some halberd militia. But it's just pretty much militia, because that makes sense, because your towns in cities are not going to have a large garrison force, right? Just look at some of the basic units here. Basic buildings. We have the barracks, we have our church, we have the, these are just public order buildings, like a council chamber that lets you make a diplomat, bonus to public health and order. Your market helps you grow, so do your roads on growth. I don't think we have, oh yes, we do have growth. So you see we got culture, we have our farms help with our growth, we have, we also have our roads and our trade, so roads also help your troops to get around fast, which is a great thing. So we got, you know, mines are an optional thing. They do cost a little bit, but they give you some extra income, which is great that you can tax. So your overall income is based on your taxes, trade, whatever. So that's the income of the settlement, right? So, and then you lose it for devastation, corruption, and military upkeep. So if I had troops in here, which I should, these guys have an overall upkeep cost, yeah. So let's talk about some of the agents we have in this campaign. So there are 4 types of agents you can create. There is a merchant, diplomat, spy, and assassin. So spies are great because there's fog of war in this game. Like I can't see all the way out here, right? But I've got spies generally around helping me see. Like I had spies down here that are helping me see what the Sicilians had. Originally I got an assassin wandering around. I mean, spies are critical because if you can put a bunch of spies inside a city, they have a chance to unlock a gate. Here's one of my Imperial spies. So if I wanted to see what they had here, I could send him in, but he has a chance of dying, right? So you have to be careful with your spies not to, when they have too low a chance, it's not worth trying to kill them. Okay. Let's go on to the assassins, right? Here's what I suggest for getting your first assassin. I suggest trying rebel captains, because when you start attacking these are Sicilians, whatever. But if you have some rebels laying around, you should start your assassin on something easy, right?
He is stormed, Kaiser.
So you want your guy to start on something easy. You don't want to send him against a high-profile diplomat, or you know, I mean, if diplomat is like this guy, high-profile, you're gonna have a very low chance with a brand new assassin. So assassinate some, you know, a low-profile diplomat, preferably enemy characters, unless you got like a 95% chance. So you want to assassinate those guys, rebel captains to get them up, and you'll get subterfuge for, you'll get skills basically for killing enemy units, enemy agents and stuff, so that will help you out. Also, a city with a 5-star general, then like for instance, this city with their 2-star general is going to have a lot higher morale if I don't, if I take them out, they'll have lower morale basically, so you can use your assassins ahead of your main army to take out generals and tough targets. I do that a lot in Shogun too. Okay, so let's talk about your finances in this campaign. Well, first let's talk about the faction, then we'll go to diplomacy, and then we'll go into the finances. So as the faction tells you your general, your greatest general, your faction leader, your capital city. I'm gonna move that back to Frankfurt, by the way, while we're discussing this. So remember, you can just do this to set your capital. Oh, I don't know. Alright, cool. You can actually look at your trade income and what you're actually getting. Okay, let's go back. So if you want to get to your faction panel, right, you can see your faction. You can see how many turns are remaining in the campaign, your battles won, your cities, your generals, your regions, your battles lost, and your turn number, which is 69. So you also see on your map here, you can see you need to take care of whatever 2 little shields are here. That's what you need to get rid of. It shows your starting position, right? So this is the Holy Roman Empire. This is the Turks. This is Hungary. This is Poland. You know, you get the idea. Also, you have 2 important things here: auto manage everything, and auto manage taxes only. This is if you don't know what you're doing at all. But I'm kind of teaching you how to kind of like set up your campaign. So you don't really need to worry about these. I've never done auto manage everything or taxes. Now, I'll tell you, I'll go back to the campaign at the very end of this and show you how to manage all your settlements. Because for the longest time, like for instance, if I didn't have a general in here, let me just take this guy out. If I didn't have a general in here, it would just, I couldn't set the tax rate. So you have to click manage all cities, which I'll show you in a little bit. Let's go back to the faction. So we see that. Also, if you do have that on, you can choose how much the AI is going to spend. And yeah, also, let's look at the road. We're getting a little stretched here, but if you look at the road, that's how much trade is going. So with the paved roads, that improves our trade, especially to our port. Okay, let's go to diplomacy. This is a great thing. You can see, you can mouse over any of the flags and see how your relationships are with them. So I can see the English, I'm admirable, which is the highest, practically perfect with the English. I'm good with the Byzantines. Poland, admirable. And then Hungary, good. My enemies, abysmal, that's the worst. Sicily, terrible. And the French, very untrustworthy. And abysmal. And the rebels don't matter. So if you want to click on any faction, you can see how they feel towards you. They don't like me. The Mongols don't like me. I haven't done anything to them. Okay, let's go to the Pope. Now the Pope is a very important character in this game for two reasons. He can excommunicate your faction, and then you have a public order penalty, basically. So people don't want you to be cut off from the church. So that'll be a first public penalty order. You can see here the College of Cardinals. Now, when the Pope gets elected, we've seen powerful elections before, but you get a vote between 3 candidates, and with those 3 candidates, you have your 5 empty seats. Wow. So with these candidates, you want to vote for the one that can win the most. What you think will win the most. You can also ask for pretty much people's votes. Now, the Pope appoints people that are high-ranking priests, for instance.
Ja, Holy Kaiser.
More than a couple stars. I'm going to go back to this heretic in a second. So we're still going to go to the Pope and everything. So this guy is one of my own. If your thing's high enough with the Pope, you can actually call crusades, which is really good. And generally, if you're at war, so never ever vote, even if you have one vote, never vote for the Pope that is of the enemy. So if you're at war with the Sicilians, like I was, don't vote for him. Like I had that one problem. I had bad relations with the Spanish, bad relations with the Sicilians, and I had bad relations with Venice. And one of those 3 guys I had to vote for, so I voted for the Spanish because I wasn't at war with them. The Pope will hate your faction. Look at France, for instance. France betrayed me, right? The French were cowards and attacked a great ally of me. Look how low their crosses are. He's excommunicated them, right? You can also, I have a diplomat around here. I could show you something.
Mein Kaiser.
If I had a
Yeah,
diplomat,
mein
you could
Kaiser.
request,
Approaching the
actually, hold on.
You have a proposition.
You can
for
request,
us?
there's my Pope. You can request that you can get,
Until
unexcommunicated.
next time.
Also, I'd recommend giving map information to the Pope. He's not really going to do anything with it. I mean, and by the way, the Pope always takes over Florence. And they might actually have a settlement on this island, I'm not quite sure.
We are not contesting these waters with you.
Okay, let's go to our... You have your family tree, you know, with your starting people. You can see how many kids they have and stuff. And the grayed out images are dead people, pretty much. Let's go to your... You can see how your overall faction ranking is compared to other factions that have crashed and burned. Like the people who are at war with me. See, I'm rising overall ranking. You can do a military ranking, you can do your production, you can do your territory. Finances. Yes, that's right. Now this, see our finances. You have income and expenditure, right? So you get income from farming, mine, trade, your merchants, and your taxes. Now it's important that your trade and your farming and your taxes are more than your upkeep of your military, right? So my army upkeep is 28,000 per turn, right? But I have 18,000 in taxes and 11,000 in trade, so I have more upkeep, and this is all profit. So it says that corruption and other count for income, and you lose some from corruption. No tributes, king's purse, boom, extra stuff. We're not constructing anything from income, so there you go. You have how much money you're gonna make, how much money you're losing that turn, basically how much money you're spending, your profits, and it tells you how much money you'll have next turn. See what I mean? Okay, so with that, that's your finances. Ah yes, there's one last thing. You have missions that come from the Council of Nobles, and you can follow these missions or not, it's up to you. Oh yeah, I'm still discussing about agents also. So let's talk about the other agents. I talked about the assassin, I talked about the spy, and what you need to do with those, how to train them up. Let's talk about a priest, for instance.
Ja, Holy Kaiser.
You want priests generally to keep your people around 90-something% Catholic, or Orthodox, or Islamic, or Islam, or whatever faction, or, you know, whatever you are, pretty much. You want to keep your guys converted to mostly that. Oh, this Hungarian's expanding. You want to keep the most converted to your religion. This is even more relevant when you go to the Holy Land on a crusade, for instance. See, there's no Catholicism at all. Also, the higher your heresy is... Let's pull this priest out for a second. We don't have any heresy, we're 100% here. Let's go here, for instance. The higher your heresy is, the more likely you are to get heretic, which is what this guy is. So every time you see them, you want to accept missions with your priest and just get rid of the heretics. It improves public order and gets rid of heresy. Also, your priest can become more holy that way. You get extra piety, and that's his name was Moses. And that's a way for you to basically keep your lands free of heretics. Now the last guy we got to talk about is the merchants, and I'm going to be honest, I am not very good with this guy, because merchants, it's kind of a game of luck, to be honest. You know, you can build a merchant school. I mean, I don't even build them because they're not really worth it for me.
You want to browse my goods,
But basically, if you have a bunch of merchants and you can put them on things on the map, like textiles, I think there's some lumber here, gold mines, you put them on mines, and if they're in enemy territory or far away, you start trading that resource. But honestly, their upkeep generally isn't worth it.
My wares.
I mean, look at this guy. He's a Turk, and the Turks are all over here, and he's getting like 500 per turn. But anyone could pretty much assassinate. Well, I guess it's gonna be hard to assassinate because of his skills. Yeah. Okay. There's two types of priests. There's also a cardinal,
Greetings, Kaiser.
and these guys cannot be turned. If your guy has a heretic and he fails to denounce him, he can actually turn into a heretic himself, be like converted to the wrong faith, right? But your cardinals,
Of course,
they convert
Kaiser.
the land faster than normal areas. So they're pretty much, he's going to be converting this a lot faster than just one priest. Also, you can keep building these up if you want, but you want to build farms, you want to build roads. You kind of want to be building something in every city at one time. Now, I'm not, because I'm not really, I've been following that, but I really need to have a construction everywhere. Let's look at the bottom here. This shows your public order. So you have a green face for public order, you have growing in population, and you have construction. Now, if I were to train a soldier here, you can see they add an extra little soldier here, so that's how you can tell if something's training or not. See that orange? That's no population growth, training troops. We look here, nothing, just happy in population. These guys aren't so happy.
heresy cannot hide.
And these are enquesters. They're really quite annoying. They just go around and burn your priest, or attempt to burn your priest. And you know, you can just take your assassin that you've trained up
They will be a dead man by morning.
and get rid of them if you want.
Death or destruction.
You gotta be
Kaiser.
careful when you try to assassinate
Yeah,
people,
he
because
is a dead man.
you do it to a faction you're at war with, or you're about to go to war with, because if you do it against the papacy, you better be pretty dang sure that you're going to kill the Pope if you're going to do that, because it's very hard to kill the Pope. Also, the more spies I have in here, you can see the public order slower, right? There's a 125% chance they'll manage to open the gates, so second I attack this, they'd open the gates.
Of the Reich. Taking notes for the Reich.
134%. So the more spies you have in there, the more chance you'll be able to open the gates
Just
for you.
name the
Let's
time.
talk about navies.
Fleet ready.
Navies are okay, I would say. I mean,
Leave me be.
they're not necessary
Yeah.
if you're in like
Fleet
Europe,
ready.
pretty much landlocked and fighting. Now, if you're around the southern part, like Sicily, or you're going on a crusade, you're going to need some sort of boats. But you don't want to build more than like a half a stack as a giant navy, because you're not going to be fighting a lot of people in naval warfare unless you want to try to get your guys over. But I would never send one boat to send troops all the way over here, because it could be sunk by the Egyptians or the Turks or pretty much anybody. I wonder what they're doing right here. It's my land. I guess whatever. So I hope you guys enjoyed me kind of going over Medieval 2, kind of talking. If you have any questions about like a certain thing on the campaign, feel free to leave them in the comments and I'll respond with a comment. I promise. So if you have any questions, just leave them in the comments. I believe I reviewed everything I could possibly do. Actually, I want to show you some Battlefield. Army makeups really quickly. So in the early part, your best hope is to have some male knights, pretty much. You want armored sergeants and 2 or 3 generals and some crossbowmen would be nice. I do not think missiles are necessary. They call them missile troops pretty much. I don't think archers and crossbowmen are necessary to win any battle. What's necessary is to have some cavalry and some good infantry that can pin the guys. That's what you want. Then you might ask, why don't you attack the city? It'd be a bloodbath for my men, because they got a lot of archers, they got a lot of troops that can garrison on the walls, and it'd be hell for me to get in there without a catapult. So I don't want to do that, because I want them to come out to me. This works for Empire and Napoleon. I pretty much never, unless there's no walls around the city, I won't attack. If it's a Mount and Bailey, I would just auto-resolve. Like, if I'm gonna win, like, if I wanted to do an auto-resolve a Rome, I mean, I could win that easily, so I just auto-resolve that. Oh, there's one more thing. Mercenaries. You can recruit mercenaries, you can get galleys if you're near the water. You can get crossbowmen, spears, Frankish knights. It depends on where you are. If you're in the Middle East, you can get some, on a crusade, you can get some more troops, different kinds of priests and stuff.
Mein Kaiser.
Ja, Kaiser. Ja, Kaiser.
Oh, that's full. By the way, all your cities can only hold 20 units, so it's just a FYI. The longer you hold someone under siege, the more they lose people from starvation and disease, etc. So the longer you hold these guys under siege, their numbers are going to start shrinking. And if their walls are damaged like that, you'll see red. And with that red, you'll be able to know that the walls are damaged or a building's damaged. You can take down buildings with your assassins also, but I wouldn't advise that. It's not really going to do a lot. It's kind of a waste of time, to be honest. Okay, I already talked about the borders here, so I'm gonna actually end this part right here, everybody. I'll show you the battlefield strategy and how I win a lot of my battles in the next part against the AI. So this is part 1 for the campaign management. The next part will be battle and fighting the AI. So hope you enjoyed this part, and stay tuned for the next one. Leave a like if you learned something.